I'm Jason with the All Things Open team. We're here with Craig. Please introduce yourself to the ATO community.
Hi, I'm Craig McLuckie. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Staklok, a supply chain security company. And I've been pretty active in the open source ecosystem for some time. I was one of the co-founders of the Kubernetes project. I helped bootstrap the CNCF, and I've been pretty active in the community ever since then.
Great. Well, sounds like you've been busy. I want to tap into some of your expertise. What's exciting about the intersection of AI and security these days?
Well, it's a fascinating sort of area to focus on as an organization. We see AI as being one of the most disruptive trends, self-evidently. I mean, you don't have to walk very far to run into someone talking about generative AI in this forum. And the thing that's fascinating about it is it's fundamentally changing the way that developers work. So if you think about it, historically, a lazy developer would use Google to search a knowledge base like Stack Overflow or Redis, and then they would cut and paste code in, and that's how lazy developers did their work. These days, they're using large language models. And so it looks the same in that there's a semantic engine. Instead of the semantic engine being Google, it's now generative AI. There's a knowledge base. Instead of it being the internet, it's effectively a 70 billion parameter model. But it's different in a number of different ways. It's fundamentally more productive, so it's making more and more people able to produce code. It's enabling more and more code to be written. But it's also introducing new challenges from a security perspective, because what's effectively happening with large language model-based code is it's using a probability-based model to suggest what it thinks needs to be there. And hackers know that.
Got it.
And so it's just creating some really interesting new challenges.
Okay. I want to talk about CVEs. For those not familiar with it, what is a CVE?
A CVE is effectively, it's known as the Common Vulnerability Exchange. And a CVE is a known vulnerability with a piece of code. So think about it as a developer wrote something and they made an oversight. And as a result, a savvy individual could exploit that oversight to have access to gain privileged access to something they shouldn't have access to.
Got it. Well, what should organizations look to beyond CVEs when they're considering their security risks?
Hey, this is Todd with All Things Open. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. We've got a lot of new content coming we think you're going to be interested in. One final favor, be sure to go to allthingsopen.org, allthingsopen.org to see everything that we do. Back to the video.
The reality is that CVEs represent just one vector which hackers can exploit. Think of it, it used to be this world where hackers were like burglars sneaking around the neighborhood at night, looking for an unlocked window. The truth is that with new generative AI tools, their patterns of attack are changing. They're able to produce malicious content, and they're able to get developers to deploy that malicious content into their environment. And so it's important to look beyond the CVE and to actually look at the sources of malicious content that may enter into the supply chain. So it requires a sea change in terms of how organizations are approaching securing their environments.
Perfect. Do you have any tips, best practices, or new tools that you're using to share with the ATO community?
Well, we did announce the introduction of Minder, which is a tool that enables an organization to effortlessly apply policy across everything in their SDLC and to drive reconciliation loops. So it's an open source project that we just donated to OpenSSF, and I would encourage listeners to take a look at it. We're very excited about that project.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing. Any advice you can offer to help conference attendees, all 5,000 plus, with all this knowledge? What do they do with that knowledge after the conference?
I would say find a community. The power of open source has always been in like-minded people working together to solve problems. And so I think the best thing that you could get out of a conference like this is the network, the community. Find a project that entices you, find an initiative that you're excited about, and get involved. And just use this as a way to find your way to like-minded people working on problems that you care about.
Perfect. I love that answer. And I just have to ask, how did you come up with the name Kubernetes?
Oh gosh, I was kind of desperate. We tried a lot of different names, and at the end of the day, I was just looking for something that was white space on the internet that no one had used before. And there was this kind of nautical theme going on with Docker and the whale and the containers and all of that stuff. And so I thought maybe we could just look at something that drives a ship, that steers. And so I looked back at a number of sort of old languages, and Kubernetes was available. So that's how we ended up with the name.
Perfect. As a managing editor, I look for a lot of images with ship wheels now.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
Perfect. All right, Craig, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on.